So in 2005, while I was with an industry called BPO, I had never thought that there's going to be an industry which will shake my career and my life. And that industry is online industry. Internet space or internet as a tool, if it has shaken, while it has shaken many industries, but if there is one industry that has got significantly impacted, that is travel. In 2007, I got a chance to be a part of cleartrip.com and seen the transition of travel space in a certain segment of travel space from inside out. And 3 years, what online did to travel is significant. Today, 80% of the spend on product and services that are bought online, travel, product and services occupies 80% of that. So online, internet as a tool has not only changed my life, but it promises to change many more lives in days and years to come. Because this industry by itself is changing and shaking the very fundamental rules that are followed for decades in any industry. And travel being shaken so well to the root, it requires an open debate. And we have some thought leaders from the industry among us today. So before I call them on the stage, there's one discussion that I remember with my very dear friend. His name is Ratan Kant. He teaches at IIM and ISB, online marketing course. He told me once that, Vishal, there are 3 basic skills that people are really good at. They need to be good at any one of those. I said, what are those? He said, see, people can either be doers, or they can be thinkers and writers, or they can profess, they can teach. Very rarely will you find all the 3 skills in one person. But coincidentally, while preparing for Ayanaant, I met one such person who has all the 3 things in him. He's been a doer all his life in the aviation industry, in travel industry. He writes blogs which are followed worldwide. He's got followers worldwide. And he teaches at leading institutes in India, travel as a subject. I'm talking about our next moderator and a very dear friend now in the last 1 week itself, Mr. Rajiv Bajaj. May I please request you to come and join me and initiate the online initiative.
Rajiv,
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I hope I can live up to the introduction that my friend Vishal just gave. That was very generous of him. And without wasting much more time, let me get on to first introducing to you the panelists that we have with us today. They're all distinguished panelists and sorry, just give me a minute. We jumped the gun a bit. There was a slight history of travel, the evolution of travel as we know it now. We have always been travelers, mankind has always been traveling. And okay, and like mankind, travel too has been evolving. And travel has always depended upon technology to provide the means or mode of travel. The earliest travelers had to walk or they rode domestic animals. Then the invention of the sail came and the wheel the steamboats, the steam engine, the motor car, the aircraft, and organized travel followed. We all know this photograph of Thomas Cook. And the rest, as they say, is history. But again in the 90s, history was rewritten. And I'm sure you can see the significance of that man sitting on the computer there. So we have evolved onto the online age, the internet revolution. The internet revolution has done several things. It has redefined, revamped, rejuvenated, recharged, refined, refreshed, revitalized, and reorganized the tourism industry that we know now. It has completely changed our travel distribution systems. And not only that, it has created a new breed of traveler. The traveler who's much more aware, the traveler who's probably very conscious of what choices he has, the traveler who can make his own decisions just by doing a few clicks online. And what makes this possible is the online initiatives that we know today. It is the engine that is driving probably most of the travel today. And when we say driving most of the travel today, means that practically every segment of the tourism, travel, and hospitality industry is online. So you can imagine the force of this, the power of this medium, the internet. Let's meet some of the game changers who are here with us today and who will be part of our panel. Let me first invite Meenu. Meenu does not actually need an introduction. She's been in the technology industry. She's been in the industry for about 24 years and has created portals for some of the best known names in the industry. Thank you, Meenu. One of the most dynamic personalities in the trade today, Nikhil Ganju, the country manager for TripAdvisor, the site that most people in the travel trade are scared of. Nikhil, would you please join us? Thank you. We have with us Mr. Mohan, who is the head of information technology with Kony, and he's driving their latest initiatives. Mr. Ram, would you please join us? Mr. Vikram Malhi, again a very well-known name in the trade. He has over a decade of business strategy experience, and he is the general manager Expedia South Asia. Thank you. Vinay Gupta, I'm sure you're all familiar with this success story. Probably somebody who's achieved wonders in the shortest span of time, and we know Via.com is doing some marvelous things today. Thank you, Vinay. Now we go over to the panelists. I think I'm going to take a Okay, they are going to answer some of your, probably some things that you want to know about the online travel industry as we know it today. My first question to the panelists is, many of the traditional travel agents today are realizing the potential of the online world, and they want to jump on the bandwagon now. They have no idea as to how they should go about it. All they want is a portal. What advice would you give them? What pitfalls should they avoid? Because you all have vast experience in this field, and probably we can start with Meenu.
Rajiv. The best part of the industry today is that everybody in the outbound space or in the travel trade are aware that the online space is one different point of sale which is available now. Initially, it was the regular B2B and the regular sales and marketing which was there. But now the online initiative is a tool which everybody has to get into. With the getting the right technology partner is very important. The right technology is very important, because everybody comes up and says, I want a portal. Majority of our client comes and says, I want an online portal, I want to be there. But with the myth that, okay, tomorrow the portal is live, we will start making money online, we have nothing to do, no much effort required. But I would say that there's a lot of backward work which has to be done in terms of having the right strategy, what you have to sell, what is the right technology which you want to pick up, what are the services you want to sell. Doing the right type of marketing is very important of the sites. Technology can actually get you there, but it cannot be the selling point only. It can actually be an enabler, I would say, take your business and do your business. So it is important that the right strategies of marketing, sales, operations, all are put in place, apart from being the right technology.
Thank you, Meenu. Nikhil, your take on this?
So I'm going to step back a little and kind of, so I think as a travel agent, you've got to figure out your peculiar situation and what you want to do with the online in the first place. What do you want to use it for? Do you want to use online as a channel for acquiring new customers? Do you want to actually have a portal or a presence that enables people to book? Do you want to get into that space? Do you want to engage with your existing customers online? So you've got to figure out what you want to do with online. If your ambition is to build an online presence that acquires customers as well as enables them to book, that's pretty ambitious, right? So I think that's the first step. Where are your customers? Are they predominantly on the mobile? Are they coming in through other online channels? So I'm not entirely, convinced of the need to recommend online to everybody, right? You've got to have some presence, but you've got to figure out what that presence needs to do for your peculiar business and what your ambitions are.
Sure. Ram?
Yeah. I think this is a very relevant question to Kony per se, because we've been a traditional tour operator, and I would rather quote some practical examples, because we've just started an initiative, which is an online initiative. To start with, in the session we spoke about being an OTA. I said yes, we are an OTA, but it's just that online is replaced with offline. But we want to get to some online space. The first thing actually what we did is we said, because we have great minds in the company, but what we said is, let's disrupt this whole concept. Let's come back and understand where we stand, and what Nikhil said is very true, and what space do we want to get into. So I think that was the first question that we wanted to answer. Second, of course, is building, because today online is no more an option. It's actually a channel, because now the entire space is becoming an omni-channel network. So you have to be present in online, because it at the end of the day complements your offline presence. So the second thing that I would state is, it is a mandate, and it's a channel of business which complements your offline piece. Again, very practical to me. Third is about customer as a strategy, because just being online and having a website just doesn't make sense. So looking at a customer and rolling out a strategy which is very relevant to the customer is critical. So that's the third part. And the fourth part is, when you go online, you're no more physical. And travel is a very experiential product. And it's very important that, we've experienced it. At the sales counter, when you have a seller selling, it's much easier to convince a customer, because you're actually planning it for him, and it's experiential. The moment you go online, you have to understand that there is a challenge there. So it's important, it's very important that you get your most experienced guys sitting there to sell. Otherwise, they're all sitting at the product and operations level, whereas your seller is probably the least experienced on a destination, because he's selling everything. So it's important as a company at a call center or at any selling channel in the online space, to get the right destination specialists or the guys to sit at the counter and sell. So according to me, these are four clear areas that we focused on when we started this whole initiative in January 2013.
Vikram?
So, just to add to some of the things Nikhil was saying, right? I think at the basic level, people need to think about, is online something that they want to do, right? I mean, it makes sense for some people, it might not make for some businesses. So it's really, really important to actually think about that before you jump into it. Now, having said that, there's clearly some benefits of online as opposed to offline. If it fits with your target segment, if it fits with your target consumer, you should do that. Before you do it, I think there are 2 or 3 things you need to sort of consider and remember, right? One, are you willing to spend quite a bit on technology? I think we talked about technology and how important it is. It looks really easy from the outside, but it's a lot of investment. I mean, online technology companies or online travel companies spend a lot of money on technology. You have to be really, really at the forefront of it. Otherwise, you'll be the number 3 player that no one really cares about. So really, really important. Secondly, you have to think about, are you willing to spend a lot of money on acquiring customers online, right? I mean, there's one thing, you may have a brand presence offline. People come to you because you provide a certain type of service. But when you go online, then I think you need to rebuild that brand from in an online environment. And it's extremely expensive to do that as well. So that's the other thing that you need to think about it. And the third thing that you need to think about it, do you really have the selection of products that you need on online? If you look at why does a consumer come online, that's one of the biggest reasons people go to Expedia and people go to TripAdvisor, because there's a huge selection. Will you be able to provide that? And if you're not able to provide that, then it becomes really, really inefficient to spend all that money, get that customer to come for a very niche product. So, those are probably 3 things that, business owners should think about as they talk about their online strategy.
So, so here are my thoughts, right? I didn't come from the travel trade. I was a Wall Street guy, jumped into travel in 2006, and our first problem we saw was that, everybody wanted to fly planes and nobody was out there to sell to the customer. We thought distribution was broken. We thought there are many things that are broken. So I think so online is also addressing something which is broken. Right. I think so fundamentally we need to first understand that, right, as to what is broken in the online world, right, and what is it that you will bring to it that will fix it, right, and that's in glorious terms called as strategy, right, and so here is my take. So as you saw that I'm now the chairman of Bajaj, so we've promoted my chief operating officer as CEO. So we're actually trying to dig at exactly this problem, and I've launched a new company called tripfactory.com. I'm not trying to promote it. It's not live as yet. But we think Facebook of travel is the requirement of the world, right? We think that's what the world needs, right? Because nobody will have enough money to market every product which is out there. There needs to be a central knowledge base which can be smart, which can be conversant, and it needs to have a smarter search than what Google has today, because Google was designed by those Stanford engineers, right, to search web pages using keywords, but a trip is more than a bunch of keywords on Google is what we believe, right? So basically what I think the solution is that if you look at what Reliance did when they came in and they said, everybody can have a phone at $500, right? And everybody had a phone, and there was an economy, and there was, consumerism. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to say, you can be on every device for free. Don't worry about it. You don't worry about languages. Don't worry about stuff that you don't care about. I think so what you need to really go focus on things that work well. And I'd like to highlight on the online space, I think so also the tools which Google built, nobody understands what SEO really means, even the guys who do SEO, right? Because the guys who do SEO actually think that if I have the closest match to the keyword of my URL, or I put all the keywords in my URL, then it will be found, right? But user is not searching for URLs, right? User is really looking for a requirement. If I want to go to Singapore, there's a context to it. If you want to go to Singapore, there's a context to it. And Google will give you the same stupid answer, right?
And I think so Google today is looting the world with both hands. One is called as SEO and one is called as SEM. First, you have to deploy engineers to teach all the stupid robots of Google, right? Which I don't think so any travel agent will get to. Online companies have a hard time, right? And that's why I'm trying to highlight that. So I think so the solution to the world is really that there is a platform where the world can congregate, where we believe that if you have to sell the same downtown hotel in Moscow, why do you need so much fragmentation on the internet? And to top it, you have more meta search sites because there's fragmentation. So I think so we are developing on the wrong model, right? And we have to go back and really rethink what does it take to bring all, it's like waking up every day and looking for your friend on the internet because there's no Facebook, right? I think so that's where the world is.
Thank you for your point of view, Vinay. This brings me to my next question, which probably you could relate to my first question. Because as I said, a lot of people want to jump onto the bandwagon. A lot of people have jumped onto the bandwagon without an idea of what they're actually doing. So is the online industry today in sync with the end user? Or do you think that the industry needs to better align itself with the user? Again, Meenu, would you?
As far as the user community is concerned, they have gone on to the bandwagon, but they are still not aware of the basic tricks of actually selling online. To sell online, you have to be very clear the way the data, your product can be sold and reach to the end user. That is very important. One of my fellow colleagues here said that it is important to know your target market. It is important for us to know what we want to sell and where we want to sell. If we are able to address that issue, and that is something which a travel agent is aware of, who has made an online portal, has the right content, has the right budget to promote that, I think then is a way he can actually take the portal forward. That is the only way. Otherwise, he will be actually getting a portal, putting it up. It will be like creating a 7-star hotel in front of a graveyard, which will not sell rooms.
I think that's a good analogy, Viva. Thank you. Nikhil, your take?
Well, I'm going to kind of have a little bit more optimistic view on this and say that yes, I think across all stages of the travel, whether it's planning or whether it's booking travel or whether it's in the travel or post-travel experience, I think we've got some pretty world-class products in India as well. Right now, whether they're global companies or Indian companies who've answered these questions at all stages of the travel cycle. So, there's pre-planning, there's us, and for booking there are a variety of world-class booking sites available out here. So I'm just going to say that I think it's we have the answers today. It's of course every industry has some problems. There are some things that are broken that are probably common across industries, so payments and fulfillment and stuff like that, which kind of cause friction. But I think it's we when it comes to if the industry in general was not in sync with users' needs, the industry wouldn't be growing at such a blistering pace and taking market share away from offline, right? So it's obviously answering some very fundamental questions and solving some fundamental needs, which is why it's growing. Yes, there are problems, but I'm sure there are people here on the panel who are working day and night to fix those problems.
I'm sure Ram can elaborate on what he is doing to fix the problems.
I think, it's a very interesting thing. When we started online, the first thing that we looked at, and we've been ignoring this, honestly, you should look at Mouthshut and in consumer complaints forums, Kony has probably the highest number of bad notes there. Okay? Lot many, and we've chosen to ignore, thinking that this will not affect us, honestly. The first thing that when we spoke about online, the first thing that we spoke is, it's like having a billboard right opposite your branch which says, don't go to Kony. And I have a Kony outlet standing there. So getting online is also about addressing these pre-travel issues, because there's another, Nikhil does this job again. So you have review sites and it's all over the place. This is one area that I want to focus on, and which we really focused on, is why don't we look at, when you start online, build a strategy which is very consumer centric and get all these reviews under a common forum, be it launching a Facebook page, go out to the customer. As tour operators, we don't get to the customer. I am not a business guy, I am a pure technology guy, and I want to simplify this whole process. So what we spoke about was, can we then do some measures where we aggregate all these negative things and address them right up front? legal issues exist, but we will address them. So this was one area that we focused on, and actually launched a Facebook page, launched a Twitter profile, and social media did help us bring all our, at least this year, we're seeing a lot of things that come in and being addressed as well. So I think that's one area that I would want to highlight, and very practically, that's what we've done in the last 6 months. So that's for me.
Vikram?
Yeah, so to answer your question about are online companies in sync with the consumer, I think if you look at across all channels, probably online is one channel which is more in sync with the consumer than any other. I mean, no offense to the offline industry, but if you look at just the sheer amount of data that you can collect online and at every stage of booking, it's incredible, right? So Expedia has 30 million customers a year. 30 million customers a year. Think about how many people actually come to the site every day. And we know exactly, where they start, how do they search, where do they drop, why do they drop, what hotel they were looking at, which hotel, when they were looking at this, were they looking at this other one, or they were looking at airline, so there's incredible amount of data. And with online companies, you can collect all that data. And what, I can talk about what Expedia does. So what we do is we look at that data and say, okay, this is what the consumers are wanting. This is how they are behaving online. And therefore, we can look at that and say, these are the kind of products we would need. Maybe a consumer is confused because there are 500 hotels in New York and I don't know which one to pick. So, we need to help them to be able to pick that hotel. So we sort of do recommendations. You do filters, you do a bunch of things. So, as we get that data, as we get that knowledge, online companies, and this is not just Expedia, everyone probably does that, they invest in that technology, invest in the product to make it easier for consumers to find what they want and to book what they want. So I think online platform gives you that opportunity, which is hard to do offline because you have multiple locations and it's hard to collect that data, and in real time it's hard to act upon it. Online definitely helps in that.
Before I move on to Vinay, Vikram, I would like to ask you one more question.
Yeah.
Because Expedia is one of the largest players globally.
It is the largest player.
The largest, sorry.
Just to be clear.
I stand corrected. Okay. You have a global pedigree, so to speak, which we discussed earlier. And in the Indian context, how have you leveraged your global index experience?
Yeah. So, from a global perspective, if you think about the three key things that Expedia has that I think a local player doesn't have, and it's hard to get when you're a local player, right? So the three things, the biggest one is scale. As you mentioned, the largest travel company, 30 million consumers. We have over 200,000 hotels. We have over 400 airlines. We have over 10,000 activities and online bookable activities, right? So what scale does is it gives you two things. One, from a consumer perspective, it gives them the selection that I was talking about, right? I talked about the online before. It's really, really important because that's one of the key things that people are looking for when they come to online travel portals, the selection. When I go and try to find a hotel in New York, I need all the 500 hotels to be up there because I want to select out of those 500 hotels. So the other thing it helps the consumer is on the pricing. So as a global player, we can go and negotiate things that a local player will not be able to do because of the scale. We are bringing customers into India. We are taking customers from India outside. We are in 36 countries. We are in 36 languages. I mean, the kind of scale that you have and the negotiating power that you have is not possible with a local player. So the scale is one really big thing. Second is technology. I talked about technology earlier as well. Alone in this year, Expedia is spending $250 million in technology. That's something a local player will not be able to do. I mean, we invented travel. Expedia was the first online travel company in the world. We invented travel. This is something that we heavily, heavily invest in. So it's really, really important for us to be at the cutting edge. So technology is another one. The kind of products you have, maybe you can talk about mobile, you can talk about social platforms. Expedia is at the forefront of all of these platforms. So scale, technology. And the third thing is understanding of the consumer. So I talked about that a little bit. With so much data that we have from global sort of consumers, we are able to use that and help the Indian consumer as well. I've heard this a lot of times where say, oh, India is different, Indian consumer is different, they're looking for value. Well, guess what? Russians are looking for value, Brazilians are looking for value, Chinese are looking for value, and believe it or not, Americans are looking for value. So I think there's a lot of cross sort of country learning that you can have with the global player that's really, really hard for a local player to have. So those are probably three things that I think Expedia brings to the market that others won't have.
Sure. Vinay, your view?
So I got a little contrary view to the stuff. I think so. Local players have great rates, right? Means how much far can you negotiate a hotel? 40%, 30%. In the season, maybe 20%. So I think so. Rates is not an issue. I think so. Also, I believe knowledge is very local. Traveler is moving to a local destination. So I think so. Knowledge is definitely something which local players have better. And if you see, the whole world is going local, right? I agree with Vikram that technology online allows you to analyze and invest in your product, which the trade has no monies for. So somebody's got to wake up and say, I'll give you technology free, so we're doing that. Okay? So you don't need to worry about world-class technology working for you. So I think so a consumer, I want to demystify two words here, online and consumer both, right? I think so every consumer for the last 100 years, right? I've studied almost like 16, 17 industries in my Wall Street days, is only looking for one thing, which is shopping, right? Shopping is about 3 C's: cost, convenience, and choice, right? And Vikram has spoken about choice, right? Selection, right? Online provides you convenience. From here, I can do it, right? I think so the game is being beaten down on convenience in online by the consumer more than on choice or on price. And if you really see, the solution to this game is really to say, how do you harness on one platform, right, the knowledge of people like Expedia, people like everywhere, which is like an independent platform where you're not worried about the technology to get to a user, right? Users can easily go in every day and they know where to go and search, like people know how to go and search on Google, right? So there's no requirement of a large brand investment by everybody. So marketing is out of the box, technology is out of the box, people got knowledge and rates. So I think so I believe the models of future are like microwave thinking, right? So somebody's got to say, you don't have to make the frying pan better to still heat the food, right? And I think so we are at that juncture, and my belief is that the user behavior, right, today is not something which any online company is pushing, it's the user is pushing, right? So I think so that is not a trend which a travel agent can really hang on to, right? It's just too much investment. So I think so tracking the online user is, Samsung is pushing him in one direction, Google is pushing him in a direction, Facebook, Twitter. So I think so the entire solution to this whole commerce is to not go and look for your friends every day online on Google. You'd go to Facebook and find them.
Everybody talks social media, and in the days of the social media, an agent may not have a website, but he still has a Facebook page, he has a Twitter profile. What would you like to say about the power of the social media? And very quick views from you, Meenu, just got 5 minutes left.
Online marketing of the product is very important, which could be through various medias. SEO, SMO have been the primary ways of actually promoting the sites, which have been there, and it is still there. But everything is going on the now the mobile route. The search, you have the SMOs, you have mobile apps which are there, which are the actual areas where people are actually trying to promote their products, because it's the fastest way to reach a to the direct customer base.
Nikhil?
No, so as social media ourselves, right? We are travel social media ourselves. So we kind of embraced the social media, other players as well as the world's largest travel site. We worked with the world's largest social media network, Facebook, and integrated them deeply into TripAdvisor, so that so that the whole planning experience on TripAdvisor itself benefited from social media, right? So when you're on TripAdvisor planning, which hotel to stay in or which place to go to, you're able to kind of look at which of your Facebook friends have been to those places or stayed in those hotels. So it's not like we kind of embraced and integrated social media into the whole experience to make it even better.
Ram?
For us again, social media is very. It's not a way to generate inquiries, but it's a way to address customers. So be it pre-travel, be it on travel, be it post-travel, we intend to and want to get there on the social media, where all these three areas of different customer touch points are addressed. For us, clearly, it's not a way to generate inquiries for sure, but it's a way to handle a customer in his entire life cycle. And that's for us. Thank you. Vikram?
So I think social media is really, really important. I mean, for us, for probably everyone around here. I think, if you look at social media during the travel planning and booking and post booking, there are two areas which have been addressed pretty well, right? So Nikhil talked about the planning phase, which, TripAdvisor and Facebook, and, where should I go? So that has been addressed largely, where people will go and post on their Facebook, where should I go, get a bunch of recommendations. Post-travel has been figured out a little bit, where it's around, I hate this company or I love this company, and that word of mouth helps it. I think what no one has really done well is shopping and booking experience. So I don't think anyone has actually integrated social media into that. And I think there's a huge benefit to be had to do that. A company like ours is definitely investing in it, but I think that's one area where, someone needs to figure out how is that going to work. Because when I'm actually looking at that list of 500 hotels in New York, if a friend of mine tells me this is the hotel I stayed in and it's really good, it actually helps a lot, as opposed to
Actually,
before or after.
A really popular vacation rental site has done that over the last few years very successfully.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I think, it's from an online perspective, that's a vacation rental site, but I think from a hotel perspective, I don't think any online travel agency has done it.
So I'll just keep it under 2 minutes. Okay, so I think the industry will go where I think user behavior is taking it, right? Means at the end of the day, that's the force which is pulling the industry. I think so, but hopefully the industry doesn't go in a direction where they don't feel empowered. Would be at least one of the areas we would like to feel there is work to do in technology, right? How do you harness this great guy who makes a great Switzerland package? How do you bring this up when a user is searching for Switzerland, right? How do you basically make sure that when people are asking questions, this Switzerland guy is out there answering them, right? So I think if you really see the shape of the industry in 5 years, my personal belief is that there is way too much fragmentation of devices, right? Channels, right? Models, right? Selling a hotel, we've got 15 models, right? Selling an airline ticket, we've got so many models. Distributing an airline, we got so many models. We got way too many models, right? When the user is really looking for a trip, right? What I'm not looking for, I think the industry is moving to a point where people will say, I'm going from Singapore, I want to stay, I want a cab, I'm landing in the night, I need a transfer, I need. So I think the industry has to loosen out its current operating structure, according to me, where a hotel thinks I have these sellable units. I'm not a department which is restaurants, I'm not a department which is this. They look at this user and when he's coming in and say, what all do we think he will need before he goes out? So I think the shape of revenue management will change in the industry. I think the shape of how knowledge is transacted with users will change. But one thing I think which will not change drastically, I believe, is the user behavior from where it is today. So there needs to be an adaptation of that, right? Means hardly anybody changes finally.
Thank you very much, Vinay. Just stay with us. I think there are a couple of quick questions that we can take. Mr. Subhash Verma has a question.
Sir, my question is very simple. Of course, there is no, like initially when there should be offline versus online, I think the time is gone. Everybody should understand. I'm one of the very few fortunate I've seen offline when even Amadeus was not launched. The first sets of Amadeus, I led the team in 69, 70 sometime. So that's a different thing. My question is, see, when everybody was offline, Sita, TCI, Amex, middle agents, small agents, they survived. The difference was both were common offline, but the difference was size. Now today, the common factor is online and the size is different. So what do you think, how everybody, can they survive like they then also survived in the online, the small and medium, or they cannot, or what should be done? That is my question.
Thank you. Who would like to answer that?
So, I can take that.
It's a simple question. I hope it's clear.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely clear. I think from an industry perspective, it's a huge industry, right? I mean, it's $9 billion in India online only, right? And the overall is about 35 billion. I mean, that's a big pie, right? So I think there can be multiple models and there can be multiple players that can coexist. As long as everyone has a clear strategy and a clear target segment that they go after. I think it's going to be hard for a number 2 player who's doing the same thing as the number 1 player is doing to succeed in the long run, right? But if you have a clear, hey, I'm going after this person, and you talked about offline agents, they clearly had, hey, this is what I do and I'm really good at it and I'm going to survive off of that. I think, that model will work. Otherwise, I think if everyone keeps doing the same thing, it's going to be hard to do it.
I'm sorry, I'm told that...
I have a question. All right, let Arun ask.
Okay, we'll have a quick question from Arun.
Vikram, especially a question for you. In your online model, though let me first compliment you, it's a very efficient one. How much percentage of your business would come from the lux segment? Not in terms of value, in terms of room nights.
I'm sorry, which segment did you say?
The lux segment.
Oh, luxury segment.
That's right.
I don't think I can give out the numbers, by the way. So as a publicly traded company, that's one of the issues.
Okay, if the panel can share some information.
Yeah, I mean, so I can. I can tell you generally, sort of.
Perhaps Meenu, as a coordinator or a mediator, can answer that better.
Yeah.
I'm not aware of the numbers which are there or related to the Lux market actually.
But what's your opinion in any case?
I would say that the online space is a place where you can actually promote the Lux products, and you will have.
But do you think is it being promoted and can?
It is presently not there the way it should have been, but it has been already initiated by a lot of companies within the country itself. They are promoting their Lux products online, and they are trying to promote them further on the various search engines also.
Yeah.
But I would say still the way is long to go. It is only an initiation which has been done by the large players. The small players are yet to get on the bandwagon.
Can I add to this?
Yeah, please.
So, I mean, luxury, for example, a segment is very handheld. I mean, it needs a lot of hand holding. I mean, that's what we believe in Kony. What we've seen is very clearly that it's a hybrid model for us.
So research and buy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Europa model.
Yeah, and for us, there is a lot of storytelling that we need to do online to sell a luxury product. So it's not easy, honestly saying. I mean, in the last 6 months, it's not been an easy ride for us selling luxury products. But if you build a story around it, I mean, we've done with domestic products, the resorts and the palaces, for example. Build a story online and then get somebody to handhold the guy which is what our advantage is, because we've got offline branches. So handhold the guy and then convert him. And that's worked beautifully for us. Yeah, at least in our sense. Yeah, in ours.
I think so. It's a research online, purchase offline model.
Absolutely, it has to. I mean,
I'd like to add here, online part for the Lux part of it would be more for the promotion of the product. Because the person who has the money to go for the luxury products will want a travel agent. He just call up and says, do my bookings, and that is it. He will not want to spend even that 10 minutes on the mobile apps or on the website to book. But promoting it, creating a right product advertisement of the product is very important.
I think so. The convenience is the key factor in shopping, right? And a luxury user probably feels it's more convenient to make that quick call to a person who's I've been working with for a long time, and they don't need that context. But they would still like to read at 1 a.m. in the night about some great stories about destinations that you're doing. You publish them on Facebook. Probably that's the right place to do that. So I think so. It's about research online, purchase offline. If you give me permission, I'd just like to answer that question. I think so the world is going to move to knowledge distribution services, not GDS, not this. And that's what we think we're building, How do you basically pick up knowledge from each mind, bring a very smart search on top of that, and create an Amazon-like experience in between on shopping? I think so it's about KDS, which will solve the offline-online problem.
Sorry to play the spoil sport, but I think we have to close the discussions here. But before I request you to go back to the seats, there is a small memento that I would like to hand over on behalf of the Ayanaant team.
And Google, and there's so much more to offer.
But I think while I was sitting there and listening to the panelists, just like to add one thing, that when I was sitting on the other side, I was thinking to myself, look, the world has changed because of online space, because of internet. If I have not been a part of the internet so far, how can I get to join this party? I think I would like to be a part of this party which is going on. I see some leaders, taking the lead, whether it is Expedia, TripAdvisor or OTAs. How can be a part of this? And I think the thing that was running in my mind is maybe the next 5 years or next 3 years, if one has not been a part of online and would like to be a part of it, then the one very assured way of getting into it is to identify what problem can be solved with the use of internet or online space. I think solving the problem is one of the assured ways of getting on the bandwagon. So thank you very much to the online panelists and the moderator, Rajiv. Thank you very much.